Alright, here's the next episode. This one's going to be, well, somewhat quick. I'll try to make it quick. I know sometimes I ramble on, but not much has really gone on today. I did install, this is my old radiator and AC condenser. If you've been following, I did end up replacing, I'm going to replace them. That's the radiator, new AC condenser. But those will go on when I do the final kind of assembly. I don't want to get anything in them while I'm kind of just mocking things up. But I installed the old ones to kind of do a little bit of mock-up work. I've got the core support just kind of loosely sitting in here, but as you can see, I did not mount that. That's just kind of sitting there. But one of my concerns is, so I've ordered a Silverado intake because they're the only LT based motor where the intake comes out this way to kind of mimic the Colorado. So I have an aftermarket one coming. It's supposed to have a metal tube that crosses here. That way, my intention is, I know I keep saying that word, but if I get this cross pipe to be metal, if I do have to modify it, I'm thinking it's going to be too long for the Silverado. Let me see if I can do a wide view here. I think it might be too long, as the Silverado is kind of a wider truck. But I'm hoping it may be pretty close, that I can kind of squeeze the box into here. But if not, because that cross pipe is metal, I should be able to cut it and cut a section out and kind of weld it back together, smooth out that weld, and then paint it. That way it kind of looks kind of stock. Well, not really stock because it is an aftermarket intake. But yeah, I may have to maybe relocate the horns because I do think that box sits a lot farther forward. But we'll see once that comes how I can kind of finagle that in there. Maybe I can even cut the center, a section out and do like a 45 and kind of bring it back over to here. But I've ordered that to kind of play with it. The motor that I bought did not come with an intake, so I need something to kind of start with. So I found one for a decent price. I think it was like $300 for the aftermarket intake, and it was kind of hard finding one that's metal. Most of them are kind of molded plastic, and I didn't want to have to be dealing with that if it didn't fit. So my big concern right now is this upper radiator hose. So from what I've been seeing, the kind of, the second gen Colorado was, I believe, 2016 plus. No, actually, I think it was 2015. Somewhere in there, but the first kind of Gen 2 Colorado is a little bit different engine-wise and radiator-wise. So the engine, I think it's 2017 motor, the LGZ, the throttle body sits kind of over on this side and comes across. On the previous motor, it's an LG, I think LGX. The throttle body is here and the intake comes over, but the cover I think is almost pretty much the exact same. So you would see that underneath the cover, the difference. The one issue is on the earlier one, I believe this upper radiator hose is actually on this side. So the one swap that I saw, with the upper radiator hose being here, it was a lot easier to kind of run the upper radiator hose underneath the intake coming out from this outlet. Well, the 2017 and newer with the LGZ motor, it's actually over here. This is a Camaro upper radiator hose that I ordered because I'm running the Camaro water pump. So I just ordered it to kind of see how close we are, and as you can see, I'm not even anywhere near. But it's very, very tight. I'm I'm going to kind of have to try to go pretty much, I'm thinking of trying to get something to go straight down just to clear the intake, and then I'll kind of have to figure something out down here. I'll kind of get into that later. That's kind of why I was mocking this up and have it. But as you can see down here, my lower radiator hose, so there's the motor side, and it is actually attached onto the radiator. That thing fits perfect. I mean, I can't even get any closer than that. It does have a T-fitting. I'm trying to remember if I think I discussed it a little bit in the last video. This is the lower radiator hose for a Camaro convertible. So the Camaro coupe has multiple T's. I think there's about 3 of them, because you have lines that go to the oil cooler that runs antifreeze through that, and then you have a couple lines that go back. I believe the rear diff on the coupe Camaros is cooled as well with coolant, so you have a bunch of lines that come off this lower pipe. The convertible, though, I do not believe has the rear diff coolers, so that's why it only has the one. So I'm thinking putting a coupler in there, I should still have pretty much the exact kind of clearance that I have now. I know that one kind of looked like it was touching, but there's still plenty of clearance. But yeah, I'll buy a coupling. I think they make some nice ones for a couple bucks. I'll buy one of those, throw that in there, and just double check. But I think our lower is good. I'm still waiting on my AN lines. I ordered them, and they've been just sitting there, showing that it's ready to ship. That was kind of my plan to do this weekend, was to run the oil lines, to at least get them up here so I can kind of figure that out. I do have a couple fittings that will switch the radiator oil cooler section outlets into ANs. I did get 2 of them, but they were too long. You know, they have to be a little bit short, so I've got a couple shorter ones coming. Should get those hopefully by next weekend. But that's pretty much all I've kind of been doing today. I did mess around with the front drive shaft a little. Not really gonna show too much of that, but basically this, just for, I guess, humoring myself, I did try the Silverado one, and where the U-joint is right there is actually right at the cross member. The little cup that kind of protects it right there hits the cross member, so I can't actually get it in all the way. So I've got a bunch of pictures of that. I'm going to send that off to a couple of custom drive shaft makers and kind of see what my options are to get a front drive shaft made. I'll probably shoot out an email to Current, because they did do a LT4 ZR2. The other swaps they've done have been 2-wheel drive, so they haven't dealt with the front drive shaft, but I'll kind of see who they sourced for that, and maybe give them a call and start getting some prices, and then do some measurements for the rear, because I'm going to go to a steel rear for off-roading. Other than that, I did try, so now that I have the radiator kind of mocked up, I've been experimenting here. So I need a place to put the oil filter relocation bracket, and as you can see, it's kind of tight in here. I thought about maybe somehow doing something like this. I think that'll be pretty well protected. I'll have to take the front skid down to change it, but I'm not really too worried about that. But I've been looking at possibly there. The nice thing about this is I can run, this is in and out on each side, so it's like I can run them either opposite like this, or I can run them coming out the same side. So I'm thinking, maybe right there. I don't really think there's anything else that kind of mounts there. There is a transmission cooler line, but I think it'll clear. There's the clip for it. I'll be running the hard lines up to here at least, and then I'll probably just do an AN to kind of get it back to the hard line. I also thought about maybe on this side running this, kind of keep it out of the way. I think that may work as well, but I don't know. I'm still kind of playing with that idea of which side. I think that's pretty much going to be my only options. I mean, there's not really much room anywhere else. I don't really want to run it backwards because I think that starts to get into areas where at least the factory skid plates aren't going to cover, but even aftermarket skid plates, I think I might actually still have trouble. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I feel comfortable doing that, and I don't want the lines to be so long, you know, it starts affecting pressure. But I'm liking these two locations. I think it's just going to be a matter of I'll probably next weekend cut the transmission ferrules off so I can pull that front hard line, because I'm going to run the Colorado ones from the cooler down and then adapt it to AN, and then run a AN line to the Silverado hard lines that'll be coming up around this area, and I'll cut that section off. That shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, here's the T-fitting for the radiator hose, and I'll do a coupler and it'll pull those hoses a little bit closer, but I think we're still good. I don't see that causing too much of an issue. But man, that's pretty nice, because that's the bigger hose. So, and the funny thing is, this thing is only $25 on Rock Auto. I couldn't believe that, because that little hose up there is $50. But I think we're pretty good there. So once I get my oil cooler AN lines coming, I get the fittings, I can start running that. I did order the transmission lines, the Silverado ones, so hopefully those come. They said probably 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll get that. I can start running that, and then I'll probably do some measurements during the week to just double check my fuel line connectors and figure out what I'm going to do about the fuel lines. I do like so for the fuel lines, one of the lines comes up. I didn't think I was that short, but apparently I am short. So the fuel pump line comes up through here, hard lined. So got to kind of run the line down that way. And then the return comes off here and runs down the same way. I do have the hard lines that run from here down. So I'm still kind of debating, do I run the hard lines to at least get it down and then switch to AN to go to the actual Colorado part where the fuel pump is? That would probably be a lot easier than trying to get some AN lines in here and getting them mounted nice. That's probably what I'll do. I might start mocking that up. Now that I have the engine kind of in here, everything's tightened. I did install the flex plate bolts. You can see one kind of poking out down there. So everything is bolted and torqued. I torqued down the plates. The motor is pretty much where it's gonna live. So kind of mocking that up will not be too big of a deal. I can put the fuel lines back, the new ones that go underneath the intake, and I'll probably just do that and put the there's an insulator pad that kind of goes between the intake manifold and the valley cover. I can put that on to kind of protect it. And then I don't think there's any electrical connections under there. They're all in the back. I'm still waiting on the harness. I did contact Current. They said hopefully by the end of April. So that's only in a few weeks. They said they're building it right now, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. I did just notice that might be a little tight. I might want to install that AC line just to kind of see what kind of clearances I get there. But yeah, now it's just kind of a lot of little stuff, getting things kind of figured out, you know, finalize how I'm going to run stuff, and just getting it all buttoned up. And then hopefully once I get the wiring harness and get it all kind of hooked up, I can start kind of playing with the software part of it. I'll throw the ECM and the TCM in there, start playing with that before I will be sending the TCM to HP tuners to have that unlocked so I can tune that. I'll have to kind of change the shift points from the Silverado to something that feels better with the Colorado. But I think that's it for this video. I guess I still hit about 15-16 minutes, so I'll catch you on the next one.